Hi, and welcome to the Modern Persian Food Podcast. We are food bloggers,
Bita Arabian
and Bita Nazim Kelly, and we're here to share with you the rich flavors and fresh ingredients of Persian cooking and how to incorporate them into today's modern lifestyles.
We're excited to introduce you to the flavors, tastes, and techniques we use, and also our own cultural stories and perspectives growing up in the U.S. in a Persian family. Thank you for joining us.
Welcome to episode number 21. This is Bita, and I'm here with the other Bita. Hi, Bita June.
Hi, Bita.
We are going to be talking about an exciting topic, of course, Persian food, but food in general to bridge our cultural differences.
Oh, this is a big, heavy, meaty topic.
Yeah, and we thought that we'd bring in Mahsa Darabi, also known as the Moody Persian, and we've asked her to join us for this fun conversation. Mahsa is a culinary instructor out of Portland, and she's a wild Persian mama who is passionate about Persian food and passing along Persian heritage and traditions to her family and community. Welcome to the show, Mahsa June.
Hello, Bita and Beata.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here and quite honored.
We're so happy to have you.
Thank you.
We initially got introduced to you over Instagram and love your candidness, your beautiful curly hair, and your approach to cooking and your lifestyle and everything like that. So welcome.
Thank you.
So this topic, food to bridge our cultural differences, that was something that you actually came up with. And we'd love to get your thoughts and what that means to you.
Yeah, it's my reason for everything that I do around food. I was 7 years old when I came to the United States from Iran.
Mm-hmm.
I was born in Tehran. And a typical experience of an immigrant is you're very homesick. And I was especially not just homesick for the food of, my mom's kitchen in Iran, but all the smells on the streets of Iran, my family. I felt like such an alien when I first came here. And when I went to school, 7 years old, so second grade, I had this giant afro and I had my unibrow and my big Persian nose that I did not embrace then at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not speak the language. So I really stood out. I felt like an alien.
Mm-hmm.
And we came into a town that's very affluent and very little diversity. There was maybe one Black kid and then me. So there was a little bit of an Asian community as well. But Middle Eastern kids were not common at all.
Mm-hmm.
And all people knew at that time about kids in the Middle East is that we were all terrorists, or, they would call me Saddam Hussein, or they would ask me if my uncle lived in a cave, and just really terrible things. But what I learned really early on is what you have in your lunchbox can be your secret weapon.
Mm.
And at first I was so embarrassed about what was in my lunchbox, because it'd be like korma sabzi or kotlet or, our Persian saucisse sandwich. My mom would put the little pita and then saucisse and goji and the tomato and the Persian pickle. And then the kid to my left had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fruit snacks and a bologna sandwich with white bread and Capri Sun. And I was like, oh my God, I want to be that kid. And I would be so embarrassed of my lunchbox. And I'd be embarrassed of where I came from. And I'd be embarrassed of fenugreek coming out of my pores from the korma sabzi I had the night before. And I'd be embarrassed when my parents picked me up because they were just so obvious, that they were fresh off the boat and they couldn't speak the language. So in that early time, there was a lot of shame around where I came from, and I didn't share my food. But fast forward a few years, there was some sort of a project where one of my classmates had to come to my house. And of course, my mom feeds everybody who walks in. Even if you're not over, she will go find you out on the street. She can smell hungry people. And this kid comes in, and I remember maybe we had lunch. I'm sure it was my mom's rice. I don't remember the dish exactly, but word spread really fast that where I'm from, they have delicious food. So that's how people started getting to actually know me, is they tried my food. And then they're like, wait, where are you from again? Because whatever that crunchy rice I just had I want more of it. So as I've gotten older, that's how I bring people into my life. And I have friends, you guys, that are like polar opposite of me politically. They were raised so differently, but all I have to do is give them a little bit of like nuno paneer, some morabba, some, sour cherry jam and warm flatbread and feta cheese and some tea. And that begins our conversation and they fall in love. They fall in love with who we are and where we come from. It's my secret weapon.
I love that. That is wonderful. Thank you for sharing your why and your passion behind what you do.
Of course.
It's probably why you are so good at it. And I've been following you and doing my research and homework. And first of all, wow, you do so many things. And second of all, yeah, you have some beautiful little ones there. You have 3 girls?
I do. I have a 12. She just turned 12, and then I have a 9-year-old. I'm sorry, she's going to kill me. She's 8. She'll be 9 in April. And then I have a 15-month-old.
Oh my God. So you definitely have your hands full.
I do.
Becoming a mother, I think, kind of also adds a new piece to it. I have a sort of similar story of like growing up in an area that there weren't a lot of people like me, and I didn't embrace it as early as you did. My kind of coming of self came later. But I don't know, becoming a mom, it sort of adds a whole new dimension to the why.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. They pick up on everything. I didn't embrace my hair for so many years. I mean, it took me 25 years to let my hair go wild. And it's because I had my daughter and she has curly hair. And one day she looked at me and she's like, Mom, you don't like your hair, because I would straighten it all the time. And at the time, so my job is I'm an actress and I've been doing TV commercials for 17 years. And up until very recently, they always had me straighten my hair. They told me, I've heard all these messages is you are not enough the way that you are. And I completely, molded. I'm a pleaser. So I knew how to camouflage my way into this culture. But then I was like, oh, wait a minute. How can I go tell my daughter to embrace who she is when I'm not even embracing who I am? So it wasn't until I just let it out that she was like, oh, okay. They pick up on everything.
I got goosebumps when you explained that. You really hit home.
It's the truth.
Yeah.
Truth hurts.
Yeah, truth hurts. And, finding that balance is really important to like, what your preferences are, and being a good role model to your family, and also representing your culture and your heritage and Persian traditions in light of what's actually happening in the world. And explaining to people that just because something happens a certain way, or the way that Iran is run may not be representative of the majority of the people that at least I know. But I definitely agree that art and food specifically definitely has a way into people's hearts. What are some of your favorite foods to share with people who are just learning about Persian food?
My mom's food.
Yeah, they're always the best.
I'm like, come to my mom's. She'll feed you. I think the thing I love sharing most, because it happens to be my favorite food, is Persian breakfast. Our sabzi khordan, our herb platter. I think we put so much love into putting it together. And there's so many things about Persian breakfast that represent our culture. We're early risers. We love our tea. We love our herbs. I think that's so unique about our culture.
Yes.
And also it's tangible and it's easy.
Yep.
I don't share korma sabzi, I'll tell you that for the first time. Or fesenjun. Yes, they're delicious, but they can be intimidating. And people might feel like they're too complex. So immediately they'll be like, oh, that's something I just have at a restaurant, or something someone else makes for me. But when you assemble a platter in front of them and show them a whole new level of charcuterie, they're like, oh, wow. So that's what I do almost every single time. And it's probably the most popular class I teach is my sabzi khordan, because we can talk about herbs and we talk about, sangak bread and the history of it and the importance of tea. I mean, there's so much conversation by just that simple and elegant platter that we have. It's beautiful.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, what's your favorite class to teach?
Probably that. One, because if I'm going to be really honest, it's the easiest to teach without having like the stove and all different camera angles. and it's kind of breaking bread.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just something that's so relatable. I think almost every culture I know, they have some sort of a bread that they share with the people sitting across from them. And they pair their bread with some sort of maybe a cheese or something delicious. And it's like, hey, this is just the way I do it.
Yeah.
I'm not that different than you. Mine just happens to be super green and maybe like the most delicious platter ever.
Yeah.
But it's not a competition. No.
I love that gar sabzi khoda. It's unique and it's always there. It's very sort of like our trademark thing, right? When you're going to eat, you're going to have that to start. And
Yeah,
it's also so easy and non-threatening to put together.
totally.
It represents different things too. Like it represents sweet by like the morabo, the different jam, sour cherry jam. There could be like the Seville orange jam or quince jam. And then you have salty, you have like feta cheese, the herbs, of course, and then like cucumber. So you get a lot of different textures and flavors. And a lot of times that dish is not just at breakfast. They'll have a lot of those elements in like different meals, like at lunch or dinners. And also like a great little like snack sometime too.
Oh, yes. All day long. And I'm a rule breaker. I'll be like, hey, I add bacon to mine.
Oh, love it.
I add hard-boiled eggs. You can make it your own.
Mm-hmm.
And so modern. It is hilarious that you said bacon because Bita, June, and I have talked about bacon, that we both love bacon. You know, I'm a family nutritionist, plant forward, you know, like sort of vegetarian, part-time vegetarian, but
You love bacon? Yes. I love both of you extra right now. You know, you have to. I think everything in moderation. And I mean, Persian food for the most part is so healthy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like we're having, 4 slices of bacon and then like this thing of grits. Again, nothing against any of that. Delicious and hearty and rich, but we have such a balance with our food.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have that bacon, all it's doing is it's enhancing the experience versus feeling just like, oh my God, I'm gonna just not get up for the next day because I just had way too much food. So gotta have some bacon.
I love ash rishte. Is my favorite soup, and I love sharing ash rishte. I like to, every New Year's Day, American New Year's Day, I make 3 or 4 pots of ash, and I have like an open house so that, all my hungover friends and, really anyone, friends, neighbors, anyone who wants to stop by and have like a bowl of ash to like bring in the new year and for good luck and prosperity and for the year. So I love sharing that with people. Also, I do that for Persian New Year's, which is coming up too at the beginning of spring. But that's a way that I can introduce people to it. And it has a lot of familiar ingredients in it, although a lot of non-Persians have not had that combination together. Tons of spinach and herbs, a bunch of beans, noodles, onions. And so that's kind of like one of my favorite foods to bridge cultural differences and teach people about Persian culture and heritage and history and things like that.
You made me very hungry, Bita June, the way you talk about food.
Oh, thank you. Well, awesome. Thank you so much, Mahsa June. This was a ton of fun. Our episodes have a segment that I believe you're familiar with called Ask the Beats, where we usually have people send us the question that they have. But since we have you in front of us, maybe if you would like to participate in this segment, if there's anything that you would like to ask.
Yes. First of all, I love this part of your segment.
Oh, yay.
I love your podcast. I listen to it when I'm driving to set, and it's so heartwarming. So thank you for doing this.
Awesome. Thank you.
My question for you is, do you believe in this whole concept of hot and cold foods, tepe sonati, in our culture? Like growing up, my mom's like, I'm like, Mom, I have a stomach ache. Oh, you ate walnuts. You need to go and have pomegranate with it.
Yeah. Sardit shode.
Sardit shode. And the reason I'm asking you is because I was talking to another Persian chef, and he's like, man, I swear to you, this is another like old wives' tale that our moms made up. And I was like, no, I think there's science behind it. So that's my question to you. Do you think it's a real thing?
Yeah, well, thank you so much for asking that. I think there is a lot of ambiguity to it. Is it real? Is it not real? I'm going to refer to Bita on this one. I just know that if I have like a lot of dates and walnuts, that my face kind of shows that I've been like indulging a little bit too much. But other than that, I don't really know. I know cucumbers are a cold fruit, I think. But Bita, do you have more information? Can you enlighten us a little bit?
Well, I love your question, Mahsa June, just because you didn't ask to explain it. You said, do we believe in it? And so my answer is yes, I believe in it. I was raised hearing it and with the strategies and, have this ground apple with lemon juice and sugar or have nabat. It's kind of very old medicine. And for me, growing up, it worked. I couldn't explain it to you. It's a pretty complicated system, but I'm kind of excited to bring the subject up because I think we could probably bring a specialist in, which is someone's grandma, your mom, my mom. I think ultimately, in terms of the science behind it, it's about balance. Again, I can't explain it exactly. But it's sort of like some things work for some people. And when you've had too much of one thing, then you should have this other thing. Or if this part of your body is ailing you, try this. So it's sort of like an ancient culture, old medicine, which to me, 9 times out of 10, it's the right thing. It works. And the hot and cold, by the way, it's not like hot and cold temperature or spice. It's what it does to your system in terms of the heat and energy in your system.
Yes, thank you. And it's hard to explain. So actually, thank you for explaining that part, that it's not hot and cold. And if you go look this up, it's very hard to find information on it. So we got to bring the expert on.
It's a great idea for an episode.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. So if anyone listening is an expert in this area, please let us know. And we'll love to have a conversation with you about Tipesoneti hot and cold foods.
So Mahsa June, thank you so much for joining us. It's been super fun having you on.
Thank you.
I was wondering if you could share with all of our listeners how they can find you.
Thank you for having me. First of all, you are both just lovely.
Aw.
Really, really lovely. You can find me at the Moody Persian on Instagram. I also have a YouTube channel that I am not always good about keeping up with it, but there's some good episodes and there's a few coming up that are awesome. I'm in the process of editing right now. But what I love to do most, honestly, is I like to teach classes. I like to teach our cuisine and I love bringing people together. So if you go on my website, www.moodypersian.com, you can find the best way to sign up for either a private class. Sometimes I do group Zoom classes and I will have workshops if you keep an eye out. I'm juggling many things, but I like to make time for what feeds my soul. And this feeds my soul.
Awesome. Thank you so much again, Mahsa June.
Thank you.
Thank you to everyone listening, and I hope everyone has a great day.
Thank you. Bye.
So you've been listening to Modern Persian Food with Bita and Beata. Thanks for spending time with us. If you enjoyed what you heard today, consider telling your friends or giving us a good rating on iTunes. You can subscribe to our show for free on your favorite podcasting app or find us online at modernpersianfood.com for recipes and info that we talked about today. Thanks so much. We'd love to hear your thoughts, and see you next time.